From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Alina Hauter. If you're traveling west this weekend, be warned. The National Weather Service is expecting 60 to 70 mile-per-hour winds through Monday, mostly in the Big Timber and Livingston area. Our Kelsey Boggs traveled out and was blown away by the gusts.
Out in Big Timber, residents are used to this wind. But this weekend, wind gusts are predicted to reach 70 miles per hour, and travel advisories are in effect for the area.
It's always windy here.
It's no secret.
It's been windy.
Big Timber is known for its weather.
We try to avoid using the W word as often as possible.
Specifically, its wind. But this weekend?
At 5:30 this morning, it was really blowing. And once you got this side, west side of the rest area, it's really treacherous.
The National Weather Service is predicting wind gusts of up to 70 miles per hour in the area from Saturday through Monday.
You're not going to stay on the road like that. Trucks, better park them.
Craig Buckner works at the Fort, a convenience shopping center and gas station in town. He sees dozens of travelers stop in throughout the day.
A lot of paranoid people, honestly. And everybody's just nervous about it.
But visitors like Caleb Jones aren't letting the wind stop them from enjoying their weekend.
I'm out here fishing with the boys on a lovely Saturday.
Jones was visiting from Bozeman with his friends.
My hair's all in my face, but that ain't gonna stop us from enjoying a lovely day of fishing.
A lovely and windy day. If you plan on traveling in the Big Timber and Livingston area this weekend, be cautious.
Stay off your phones, guys. Don't speed.
If there's any questions, call the 811. Always slow down. It's the only thing you can really do to help you in these kind of wind conditions. And if you're paranoid, get off the road. It's not going to go away.
In Big Timber, Kelsey Boggs, MTN News.
Natural disasters forced nearly 2.5 million Americans from their homes in 2023. The number of people displaced last year is less than in 2022, but the 2023 survey provides important context for a year that brought a record number of billion-dollar weather and climate disasters. There were 28 such disasters in 2023, far surpassing the previous high of 22 such events in 2020. Florida and 3 other states, Texas, California, and Louisiana, accounted for nearly half of all of those who lost their homes in 2023.
And good Saturday afternoon, early evening, everyone. We do have a lot of clouds moving over Montana and northern Wyoming. Some rain showers are trying to fall. This actually looks more impressive on the radar than what we actually have hitting the ground. It's been mainly very mild air and windy weather, too. We've had wind gusts between 60 and 70 miles an hour around Livingston all the way toward Big Timber. And we still have plenty of strong wind in the Livingston area now. We're not done with that either. Taking a live look outside on our Stockman Bank camera, the Magic City only dropped down to 38 degrees this morning because of all the breezes keeping the air well mixed. Had an above average high again today of 56 degrees. And in the Billings area, we had a top wind gust of 41 miles an hour. But again, we are not done with the windy weather yet. Currently, we backtracked a little bit from the high, 53 degrees right now. Lots of clouds outside. This is nice to see. Only 15 miles an hour to the west, but that's not going to continue. We have big changes coming. Our forecast coming up.
22 Montana agriculture businesses have been awarded grants from the Montana Department of Agriculture's Growth Through Agriculture program. Here in Billings, the Yellowstone Pasta Company is one of the benefactors. They received nearly $50,000, allowing them to hire new employees and expand in regional distribution. Other businesses across the Treasure State also got a piece of the grant money. Those businesses are in Hardin, Big Timber, Livingston, and Harleton, just to name a few. According to the Agriculture Development Council, the GTA program was established by the Montana legislature in 1987 to strengthen and diversify Montana's agriculture industry through development of new agriculture products and processes. For a complete list of all Montana businesses who received a grant, you can visit our website at ktvq.com. As we head towards the last week of February, we head towards the end of Black History Month, and Yellowstone County's Black Heritage Foundation is wrapping up the celebration of diversity with the last of its events. Our Marcus Kakova brings us an inside look at the group's open mic night.
This is a poem I wrote for my brother. He just passed away on Sunday. His words come strong and reassuring you, making you think and reflect. Is it true?
Where there's a group, there's strength, courage.
Poetry is important because it's an expression of how you feel, of how someone else may feel.
An evening of openness. That's what organizers were after when hosting an open mic night at Sacred Grounds in Billings, Montana.
Some of the experiences that people go through, it's left people with a lot of trauma. Poetry is such a great way to get those emotions out and feel heard.
People are entitled to speak freely without any judgment, without anybody saying, I don't like that.
This event, also in honor of Black History Month, is a celebration of oral storytelling.
It goes along with oral stories from many cultures. That's how histories were passed on, and that's how people connected and kept alive their families' legacies.
Something the Black Heritage Foundation says makes history a forward guiding force.
The fight that some of these older people faced is not over, and the best way to carry that forward is to educate the future.
What do you think Black History Month is all about?
Celebrating Black people. Celebrating kindness.
We should all know about not just Black history, but all history.
The Yellowstone County group says the celebration of Black History Month provides space to appreciate diversity wherever it can be found.
Every day is your Black history, or you're a woman, or you're a man, or you're a teacher, or you're just a person.
Just because we call it Black History Month, that doesn't just include Black people. That includes, in other words, all people.
Marcus Kakova, MTN News.
As the war between Russia and Ukraine nears the 2-year mark, the U.S. Congress continues to debate an aid package to the region. And a courageous journalist is doing his part to tell the stories of atrocities resulting from the conflict. MTN's Tim McGonigal had a chance to speak with the Academy Award-nominated director of the film 20 Days in Mariupol.
20 Days in Mariupol provides a graphic look into the first days of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. As part of an Associated Press team of Ukrainian journalists, the only international reporters in the city, director Mstislav Chernov set out to tell the story. The veteran Associated Press reporter and his team knew the situation was serious, but had no idea how violent it would become.
And when I understood that, I just knew that more needs to be done except news. This is a symbolic, huge story. And if I thought if I make it out alive with the footage which I have to do more than just news.
Through daily reports and personal footage, Chernov and his team captured some of the most unforgettable images of the war, ranging from mass graves to dying children, even the bombing of a maternity hospital.
This is one of the reasons why I had so much energy. We all had so much energy to even do our work, not to just sit in a basement and hide from bombs. It is so important for people to be heard, and more they're trapped, more they're vulnerable, more there's danger to their life, more they need just this feeling that they're not ignored, they're not forgotten. And that's what, when they saw the camera, that's what they wanted to express, that, well, if no one helps, at least can we be heard?
Mariupol stood for 86 days. Chernov says its story represents all of Ukraine, which he says is a humanitarian issue and not just a political topic.
This is the first time I saw the Russian sign of war.
Chernov has covered war zones in his home country as well as Iraq, Syria, Gaza, and Afghanistan. As a family man, he could easily relate to the citizens of Mariupol.
I am a father, and my daughter was 7 months old when Mariupol was happening, and I was afraid that I'm never gonna see them again. And the theme of the parenthood, the theme of devastating impact of the war on families, on civilian population is the main theme of the film.
As a Ukrainian, Chernov admits it was tough to separate his emotions from his job as a journalist. He says he provided enough context for the audience to draw their own conclusions.
And in a time when misinformation and propaganda is so strong, and everything gets distorted, I think that context, additional context, which we see in the film, but we didn't see in the news, is so crucially important.
20 Days in Mariupol is scheduled to air on Frontline on PBS on February 22nd. Check your local listings. There will also be a screening of the film on February 29th at the Myrna Loy Center in Helena. In Great Falls, Tim McGonigal, MTN News.
Still to come on the MTN 530 News here on Cube 2. So often opioid addiction tears families apart, but it doesn't have to be that way. Up next, a new model of detoxification that works to keep families together.
The MTN 530 News continues right after this.
The opioid epidemic in the United States has led to a devastating crisis, particularly for pregnant women who use opioids. In tonight's America's Forward, Matt Pearl introduces us to a program that focuses on keeping mother and child together.
Go hunt, it's all hunt.
In some ways, it's an easy story to tell. A story of triumph for Tawny Carson.
Shark.
In her Arizona home, she oversees a playdate with her 3 children and the daughter of the woman who Carson says helped save her life.
Clarissa is a very important person to me. She saw me in my deepest, darkest, lowest point, and she said, I'm gonna help you get better.
What's your favorite animal?
Clarissa Collins was the first voice Carson heard when she called Hushabye Nursery. Carson was abusing opioids. She was also 5 months pregnant.
It just opened my mind to something that I didn't think was possible, which was getting better and actually trying to be a mom again.
We are on day of life 8. Baby's not on meds.
Hushabye exists specifically for moms misusing opioids and their children who are born showing symptoms of withdrawal. It's called neonatal abstinence syndrome, or NAS, and it's a community that's multiplied over the course of this century.
We've served almost 730 babies in 3 years.
Taras Sundam is Hushabye's executive director and founder.
It is hard to watch babies tremoring and them just crying and not being able to settle them is heartbreaking.
Hushabye receives babies days after they're born and keeps them for, on average, 9 days. The moms stay there too.
Babies withdraw better with their parents. And so if we can get them to stay with us, that's absolutely what we want to do.
That's what Carson did when she gave birth to Dahlia. Today, her 2-year-old daughter is free of symptoms and Carson is free of addiction.
Hi.
That's the easy story. When you go deeper, it gets tougher.
Providers, insurance companies, the hospital system, meaning how do you make them realize that we're not a competitor, but we're a collaborator.
A review of research on NAS found opioid-exposed newborns rooming in with their mother have substantial reductions in length of stay compared with those in neonatal ICUs at the hospital. Rooming in, as Hushabye does, is the recommended model. Yet it's far from common practice. Dr. Mishka Turplin has spoken on this subject for years.
And there's nothing really radically new in treatment aside from a couple of medications like since then. So it's not a scientific question. It's really an implementation, a will, a priority question.
Turplin is among many who say the system as is doesn't follow the evidence. It too often separates parent and child, and it lacks the stability to get the parent needed treatment. In short, it's complicated, as is the full story of Tawny Carson.
I was a size 0 at 6 months pregnant. I had, scabs all over my face.
Even after calling Hushabye, Carson relapsed several times before finally staying clean. She's lived in her home for all of 2 weeks, back from a transitional treatment program where she stayed with Dahlia.
Dahlia, your doggy's trying to get you.
Triumph through addiction is not linear and not easy. But because Carson knows that,
hi, it's Tawny with Hushabye. How are you?
She thrives in her new job as an intake specialist at Hushabye.
We find that babies go through the withdrawal process a lot easier.
Now she's that first phone call, working just down the hall from her first phone call, Clarissa Collins.
I get to help people today with this person that in some ways saved my life.
In Glendale, Arizona, I'm Matt Pearl.
The MTN 530 News continues right after this.